What is up, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Make sure you guys make yourself known. Hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down. Based on your experience. So, what is up, Drunk Turkey? I've had some interesting moments the past couple days. Some truly unexpected things have happened. The first being, in no particular order, I ran over a tree with a lawnmower, riding zero turn. Just happened to clip it. If you haven't seen my YouTube short video, check it out. Anyways, again, welcome to the Transparency. Check it out. We're going to start with a quick reminder of what one of the interviews and how it went. And then I'm actually going to be hearing from you guys. So I'm going to be dropping the link, and we're going to take the rumors that you guys have heard, and we're just going to bring people back down to reality. So check it out.
Honestly, I feel a little bit lucky knowing that we have somebody and there's a person of interest. Nothing feels worse than having nobody and just nothing but doubt. And 7 weeks of that, or close to 7 weeks of that, was a tremendous amount of pressure on us. And, you know, your children.
This morning, Ryan Koberger faces 4 counts of first-degree murder.
It's just like a nightmare that you just never ever wake up from. There's not a second throughout the day that I don't think about Kaylee and what happened to her. It's sickening.
No, Steve, it took.
Close to 7 weeks of that was nothing feels worse than having nobody and just nothing but doubt. And 7 weeks of that, or close to 7 weeks of that, was a tremendous amount of pressure on us. And, you know, your children. 7 weeks of that, or close to 7 weeks of that, was a tremendous amount of pressure.
Ryan Koberger faces 4 counts of first-degree.
All right, so I've been going back through some of my stuff from like way in the back in the beginning, and then I've been looking at stuff like, now, and comparing them. And with that being said, and when I say like things that are said now, like, no, I'm sorry, but Brian Kohlberger asking to be moved to a women's facility. I mean, come on. I can't do people really click on those titles? I don't even understand that. Just wow. So I'm not talking about like that type of stuff that I'm talking about now and looking back from November 13th to where we are now. I'm looking at the fact of, okay, there's a lot of cases right now that people were missing, and it took them some time to actually find their bodies, their remains, and they've been in and out of court. And now you guys have seen these trials that are coming out right now. And those were cases from like 2000 and 17, 18. It's 2023. So here we have the Idaho4 case, and this horrible tragedy happened on November 13, 2022. Brian Kohlberger has his preliminary hearing at the end of June. And how big is this prelim? Has anybody heard of a prelim on this high profile of a case, not advancing into, okay, there is probable cause, he is the guy, all the evidence shows it, and then, you're going forward versus, okay, no, we're not. So what are the odds that this continues past the last week of June? And is Ann Taylor even thinking about that? Is she thinking like, he could be released in terms of the preliminary hearing not panning out the way that they want it to for the prosecution? What are the odds? Does Brian Kohlberger have a say? What type of say does he have in how Ann Taylor goes about this? For example, what if he had an alibi? What if he has an alibi? How do you, I'm saying this hypothetically, what if he has an alibi? If nobody questioned him and he never spoke, allegedly there was 15 minutes. Again, we don't know that for sure. But if you had an alibi, right, like the only way that it comes out is either you say that on the stand and they're able to substantiate that with like digital evidence, or maybe somebody that you're with could say that on the stand, and then again they're saying there's going to be some type of digital footprint. I don't believe in coincidences. They're very few and far between. And so for me, let's say that Brian didn't do it, right? Well, where would anybody normally be at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning? They'd be in bed sleeping, right? I mean, unless you work third shift all the time and then you're at work. But the normal person, I shouldn't say normal person, the average person that would be a college student or a working person is working first shift, going to school during the day, they would be sleeping around that 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock time frame. So if Brian was not at 1122 King, where was he? Where was Brian? What are the odds that on November 13th between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, that his phone would, not be touching any towers and not be communicating with any towers? What are the odds? Well, that's going to depend on the past usage of his phone. So weeks prior to, months prior to, has this ever happened that his phone's gone offline like that? And let's say that it did. And that when it came back online, it's out in where it was, where, everything that pattern, let's say that pattern is consistent. Does that mean that he has attempted to try that before and plan this all out? Does that mean that he was doing something else? I can't sleep, so I went for a drive. I mean, what does this all mean? If looking at it from, if you're Brian's lawyer and he can say anything to, you, and it can't go anywhere, and you say, okay, Brian, what's going on here? Like, you're saying that you're wanting to exonerate yourself. How do we do that? How can you exonerate yourself? Because, and they can just say X, Y, Z. This is what they have against you. So I want to hear from you guys today, which is, we're going to flip it and say, if you're Brian, how do you prove your innocence? How do you prove that you didn't do this? How do you help your lawyer prove that you didn't do this? And I know that sounds crazy to say because it never used to be this way, and it's not supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be that they have to prove that you did. You know what I mean? They have to prove that you did. But at the end of the day, it's 2023. All the evidence that they're going to put against you, you're going to want to poke holes at it, and you will. But can you bring anything to the table? What can you bring to the table? What can Brian bring to the table? What can his lawyers bring? So, yep, as much as you would say that the state has the burden, everybody knows they do. It's unfortunately like reasonable doubt isn't. I just feel like it's not the same way. It's not how it used to be. But you guys could also feel differently and yada, yada, yada. We know that the state has to prove their case, but what can you do to help prove your case? Because after the state rests, it's then on you. It's your case. Can Brian bring anything? I didn't see it there, Gina. Throw it back up there. I'm blind. So here we go. I'm going to, now you're not going to be taking this the wrong way. It's either you have an answer to this part of the segment, or there's a link. Show yourself on the back side of it. You don't have to put yourself on camera, but show yourself back here just to make sure that you're real. There you go. There you go. There you go. You got to blame somebody else. You got to, motive. Who else had motive to harm? Not one, but 4 people. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to tell you guys what my research has done and where it's taken me the past couple days, besides running over trees with lawnmowers. Again, giving a shout out to the members. Thank you guys for being here. The moderators, thank you for holding down the fort. And all of you lovely subscribers, thank you for being here as well. Defendants are not required to prove anything. The burden lies with the state. Absolutely. Sure does. Sure does. At the end of the day, you're looking at life in prison. You're looking at possibly the death penalty. And I know that if I didn't do something, I'm going to try to do and think of everything possible to prove my innocence as much as they have to prove their case. So what is up, Eddie? How are you?
Not too bad. I have
Eddie, you there?
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Hi.
Oh no, I'm having a bad hair day. Hold on,
I can't hear. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna have to go like this. It's probably on my side. Hold on one second. There you go.
Hi, I'm having a. Can you hear me?
It's probably on my side. Hold on one second. There you go.
Hi, I'm having a. Can you hear me?
It's probably on my side. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. There you go. Let's see.
Hi, I'm having a. Can you hear me?
You're good. Hold on.
Can
one
you
second.
hear me now?
You're good. Hold on.
Can you hear me now? Hello. Hello. I'm going to hang up now because I can't hear anything or see anything. Goodbye. Adios.
All right, we're gonna see if this works here. All right. All right, so everybody should be able to hear that sound now. Lana, you broke Eddie. I love Eddie. I know I was trying to bring Eddie back. Let me see what I got here. Ever since I redid all this stuff with this camera, it's been a struggle.
Honestly, I feel a little bit lucky knowing that we have somebody, and there's a person.
Can Eddie hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you. Am I on? Am I on?
Yep, you're good, Eddie. Tell me what you
Okay.
think.
You know what's strange is that there's a lag between.
Eddie. Tell me what you think.
Should I check out of the? Should I leave the studio and then check back in? Should I check out of the? Should I leave the studio and then check back in?
Yeah, go ahead and try that. There is a lag. Okay, here we go. I got an idea. There you go. We'll make it a true call-in show. Go ahead and call it in. We'll do it like that. I have a delay on TV and phone. I have a delay everywhere. This is one delayed show. What is up, Dr. Thrifty? It's with this new setup. That's the problem. So, what's the call-in number? 911. There you go. Call me from Canada. I'm just giving out some of my burner phones. Hi, this is Truth and Transparency.
Hi,
Hi.
is this Glenn?
Oh my God, it's her. Now, what's up?
Hi, I'm just listening to you live on TV, so I'm calling because are you still talking about? Okay.
Sure am.
Well, one of the questions I had, and this may not mean anything because I know you're trying to find, what alibi could Brian Koberger have to defend himself. But one of the things I was wondering, going back to that Brent Kopaka.
Yes.
And the crime circus, do you remember he did the thing with Brent's eye and that the eye was on the house?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that's pretty legitimate? Because if you do, then that really even makes me more suspicious of what is really going on with this whole case.
Yeah, I keep going back to what they say, like the police and the chief of police rather said, and he said this is very complex, like it's complex. And so if you're saying that it's complex, I think that it is complex. And so that makes me think that when 4 kids are murdered in their own home and you don't have anybody, and this wasn't like a boyfriend or a girlfriend per se, because that's not who you arrested, that then a month later, a similar situation, not with knives though, but a similar situation where there was somebody threatening to kill the roommates, and
sure
that it is, a spot situation like that. So when that, for them to rule that out so soon, to just say like these are two totally different situations, I question that, because how are you able to say that with certainty so quickly?
Sure, and like Crime Circus, a lot of people like him. They think he's pretty legit in what he does.
He's definitely very legit.
But the thing is, he's never come back, because I remember when he posted that, he was like, I'm going to come back. I'm following up on this Brent Kopaka. I'm going to get you guys. some information. Now, apparently you guys can't get any more information because
It's
apparently there's still a ongoing case, right?
Yes.
But if that is true, that this thing is in his eye is actually this house that he's looking at, then to me, it just enforces all the more, Lana, with me that there's some kind of drug, I don't know, kind of something else going on here, whether Koberger's involved directly or indirectly. Again, he's innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have a hard time thinking that, this is like a stalker or he was jilted and he went in and just was going to savagely kill one of them, and then Kaylee happens to be there, and then the other two just happen to hear what's going on and they get killed, and then there's two other roommates that survive, and the whole thing with the 911 that never sat right to me, and that always brings doubt about everything to me, because until we really hear what officially went on, that just doesn't make any sense. And 8 hours go by, and
Yeah, I think their phones. I think there's a reason that they're saying it in the probable cause that they used none of the victims' phones to come up with the time of the crime. That they used the surviving roommates' phones. That's backwards to me.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it just I don't know.
The only way that you
sat right to me.
Yeah, in order for you to call 911, you have to see something, So the call originated inside the house with the roommate's phone. That means that what voice was heard first when the 911 call started? Was it one of the roommates? I don't believe that it was. Again, that's not because I know something. That's just because of the way that they were so tricky about saying that it came from one of the roommates' phone. It originated inside the home,
And we don't know how bloody it was. We truly don't know. But if it's true that it was that bloody, and if there's any kind of massive bloody episodes in that kitchen, and Dylan was across from there, there is no way, absolutely no way, that she didn't have something was going on beyond them roughhousing and that's what we don't know, because originally, again, we saw pictures when this case first started, and I only saw it one day, but it looked like there was blood coming down from cabinets.
Yeah, and see, I don't know if that's accurate, but
so that probably wasn't an accurate picture.
Well, we don't know. That could have been a ice cream paint job, bad job. I don't know.
You mean phony or from another case, and then okay, all right, well that could be, but if it isn't, and there was a lot of blood.
But see, if you think about where those cabinets were in the house, where's that? That doesn't. That's backing up to
room.
What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bathroom? Could that be possibly the bathroom? Because then there's talk that something happened in the bathroom, but we don't know for sure, right? On the third floor, I'm talking about. There's talk about Kaylee possibly being in the bathroom.
I don't believe that.
You don't think so, no? Okay. So you don't think anything happened upstairs in the bathroom? It was just in the room. See, I think Kaylee was in her room with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she got out of her room when she heard something and went in to Madison's room.
Yep. And that's why there could be different. Yeah. And walked in on it. Definitely possible.
Yeah. If
possible.
Madison was, quote unquote, whoever is the what do you call it? I'm sorry. The target. Yes.
Yeah.
The target. But I don't know. It just never sat right to me. Not that I think Kohlberger's. I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. I mean, the sheath is.
I think that if there's an individual person that's a target, there's a lot of other ways to isolate. Any one of those people. Stalker isolates. Going into a house with a ton of people that A, live there, but B, you don't know who's going to be in there at any given time because it's a revolving door. That's.
Honestly, the pings and all that, that's not what bothers me. That if I was a juror, that would, it's the sheath. The sheath still, and again, I don't know how good touch DNA is.
That's
Touch
the-
DNA is. I know it's hard. Yeah, I was trying to look up some of it myself. It's like you're saying that that's only.
But we
good for
gotta, I gotta
35
keep
days.
it moving. But I love
Okay,
the
sorry.
convo.
I just wanted to say I really love your show.
Oh, thank you
and
so
I really
much.
love what you're doing.
Oh, thank
I really
you.
do.
That's very
Keep
kind.
it up.
Oh, thanks,
Keep
girl.
up the good work, Lana.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Take care.
All right, you too, girl. Otherwise we just won't get like I hate cutting people off too. It's like so hard for me. Yo, this is Truth or Transparency. Hello? Is this Eddie?
Yes.
Hi, Eddie. How are you?
Good. Am I live?
You live.
Good. So you were talking about the things that are rumors, right?
Yes. Well, I'm no. I'm saying yes, but I'm saying if you were Brian, how would you be able to help prove your innocence?
Well, a big one is that there's multiple killers, right? There just has to be, because the wounds are different, and it's not stab wounds.
Yes. Yeah. You're looking at like that one person just didn't do this. Look at the different. Even the detective describes it differently. They can't. So on the stand, you would say, could this be done by this type of a knife? Could this be done by this type of a weapon? So you would go with the whole getting their expert to talk about the wounds, and that more than one person.
Yes. So
I like that.
That's something I think that is able to certainly be, it's, how am I trying to say, it is not based on rumor. This is from the autopsy report.
You mean?
The fact that the means of death don't match, and that they're not stab wounds.
Yeah, like you have one of the parents saying that actually.
Right. So sometimes I think law enforcement is lying to Steve Gonzalez.
Okay.
For example, they told him that the killer went through the sliding door or the window. I don't know if you could say for certain that they were telling him the truth there. Sometimes I'm thinking that they tell him that to see if that information comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And if that information comes out, then there's only one way that information could have come out, is that the G's put it out there. They leaked it. So that's their pretense to then begin to tell him, well, we can't trust you with saying anything. See, they weren't going to tell him anything anyway. If you look back at all of these interviews that there have been over the course of time, the main theme of these interviews is that they're not getting answers to questions, and they don't even know much more than the rest of us know.
Yeah.
Everything is vague, and they're just not getting any information from law enforcement. But law enforcement doesn't want to come across that way. They want to come across like they're like the Gonzalez have the inside line on the information. And of course, society wants to see that. They expect that. So they're giving them nonsense.
Well, I think what I could take from the beginning of the investigation is that the Gonzalezes were, they had information that they turned over, or possibly even information that I believe they turned over everything that they had, until up until a point where like there was no more communication, so like they couldn't turn it over anymore. But whatever they had, and they felt like they turned over, there was stuff that they were wondering why this isn't being investigated either, or that like, why aren't you looking into this type of thing? Like, we gave you this, and this, and for what they saw on their end, it was like it's something that made them go, wow. Does that, you get what I'm trying to say? Like whatever it wasn't just they were like, oh, here, I don't know what you can make of these phone calls or here. They had to have something there that led them to go to step B, C, D, E, but they didn't see that from police. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Based on the beginning of the investigation. So I want to know what was puzzling to the Gonzalez's to the point of that they're like, wait a second, why isn't this either being looked into? We have this, we can see it ourselves. Like, why aren't you guys addressing this? Or if they're addressing it privately and hey, we don't want to put this out there, maybe that has to do with why aren't you asking people about a white Elantra? But I don't think that was what it was about, because that ends up coming out in December 7th, and they were still upset, you know? So what was it that the Gonzalez's have turned over at some point? They turned it over, and then they didn't see the return of investigating that from the police. And I think why they were saying that it wasn't investigated is because it's something that you would ask the public. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because how would they know if it's not being investigated? The only way that I would know if it's not being investigated, I don't know what they're doing with their investigation. All I know is I've turned over all of the stuff, but I know what I turned over, and what I turned over would need, if you were to show people this, they could then start to, like, for like example, Bridge Guy. You have that footage and you never put it out there, right? And then maybe the Gonzalez's, I'm just using that as an example. They're like, well, we turned this over. Why aren't you putting it out there so people can be like, who is this? You know what I mean? So my question is there footage of something that people are like, or that they're like, why aren't you asking people who this is? But I don't think it's the car, because the car came out and they were still the way that they were. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that whatever they had and they turned it over, I think that causes them a lot of, what's the word I want to use? Pause. Like, it's like, to them, it's like, this is logical. Like, why aren't you looking into this? Or why isn't this being talked about? Or the only way that you can get to the bottom of this is if people know about it. So why isn't it being put out there? And that's the kind of sense that I got from the Gonzalez's, that don't make me be the alpha. Don't make me start saying things. Start doing this.
They had put at that interview, they had put like attorneys between law enforcement and the family. You had to deal with like middle people that were kind of like a buffer.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that the families don't seem like a cohesive unit? We're like, let me just think. Okay, like the West Memphis 3. You have 3 sets of families, right?
Right.
And so in this situation, you have 4 sets of families, but it's even more because people are divorced and things like that. But these families were never brought all in and talked to. It was like isolation, right? Wouldn't it behoove them to see what their kids were possibly saying to them about certain situations? Like, if let's say that my kid and your kid live together, right? And we're in the same room and we're all grieving, but then they're like, okay, hey, what did your kids tell you that you were doing last weekend? Did you talk to them? What did they say to you? Oh, they told me they went to Bobby's or whatever. And I'm over here and I'm like, well, that's funny because they told me that they went to this place. You get what I'm saying? Or if like this was happened on the phone. But if if you can get to the bottom of the lies, because you're not going to tell your parents everything that you do. Everybody knows that. But don't you think that that would have helped in the investigation to try to find out in terms of like,
In a normal investigation, it would. It's kind of the same reason why they're not even concerned about what Joe V has to say. Somehow they know that he's got nothing that's important on the timeline.
Mhm.
They're trying to get this timeline because they're going to hang this on somebody, the fall guy, an innocent person. I'm just going to come out and start saying things the way I want to talk.
yeah, you can.
That's what I feel, because it's a consistent theme. Divide and conquer the families. You were mentioning a moment ago that it's almost like keep everyone in the dark so the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
this. It's like when someone's trying to triangulate. I can't have you guys all talk to each other because it's going to, like, stuff's going to come out. But if I keep you guys all away from each other, like if I'm this friend that's like, okay, if I tell this person something and then I'm going to tell my other friend this, because I can't have those two ever talk, I'm just going to tell this person, hey, yeah, that person really doesn't like you. And then I'm going to go tell this other person, yeah, that person, they told me that they don't really like you. So boom, I just went ahead and I just totally triangulated the situation but neither one of you guys have ever told me that you don't like each other. But I just went ahead and triangulated.
Guys, I'm really thinking he is innocent because of how suspicious everything surrounding this case is. I'm not like a Brian Kohlberger guy, but I think they're going to find blood in the car, and I think he's 100% innocent. I'm really suspicious about them going into that house at night, and plainclothes are coming out of that house with paper bags. You know, what's in the bags? Is it like one hair, a dog hair, and an ID card? I'm thinking things like this. There's going to be blood in that car. I'm just going to call it. You know, it's almost like they're going right on down the line with circumstantial evidence. If you're going to build a strong circumstantial case, the more circumstantial evidence you have, the better. But that's not real life. You had mentioned about, coincidences only stack so high a few moments ago.
They do.
You don't get to check the block in every block mark of circumstantial evidence. Like, okay, we have a witness, check. That's Dylan seeing the eyebrows. We have, he collected trophies, check.
Yeah.
And there's over, I have a list of a dozen of them, but I won't take the time to say them all. We know them all. But, there's in real life, so, that Colonel Russell Williams in the Canadian Air Force, everybody's familiar with that, I'm sure. And if not, briefly, his last victim that he killed, he had left tire tracks in the snow. That is the circumstantial evidence that got him caught. There wasn't like 100 points of circumstantial evidence. It just doesn't happen. So I think that this is really suspicious, because if they have blood in this car, then I'm really calling doubt on this. It's just too good to be true. But they're gonna. I know it.
Let's just put it this way: like, how is there not going to be blood in that car? I don't think there's going to be blood in the car.
You don't think so? Well, I do, because he just parks his car outside at night at the Steptoe apartment.
I'm still not sold that that's the car.
Well, I know it's not the car, and I do have a list of why he could be innocent. The door was still wide open. They have to be talking about the front door there. Certainly, there was no forced entry. There's no witnesses. Dylan is not a witness. There's no vehicle identification. You can't ID that car. And that car is not ID'd, by the way. We're talking about things that are rumors. The power of suggestion is so strong. Last night I experienced that, someone is insisting that Dylan yelled F you to shut the F up. And that never happened. That's not official. That's just a rumor. But he people won't come off of, these rumors that they hear. That's how strong the power of suggestion is. I've heard recently paramedics were inside that home. that a white Elantra at the mobile gas station. The police have never stood by that. They don't associate themselves with that white Elantra.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's never been. That's not the car that they're basing their timeline off of. That has nothing to do with the timeline.
The killer using the sliding door, I call nonsense on that because, that's what we have to believe. If it's going to be this random crazy guy, then it has to be the sliding door. If the real killer comes in and out of that front door, well, then it's someone close to them. They probably know this person who did it. And we can't have that. We can't have the victims and the killer being close, familiar with each other, because that goes against the narrative.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here, Eddie, so that the next person come on. But I'm so glad that you called in. I love when you make yourself known.
Thanks for the phone.
You're the best.
That works better.
All right, thanks, Eddie. He's a doll. Oh, baby doll. Let's see. This truth and transparency. Oh, thank you, Eddie. Yes, thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Lana.
Hey, Lana. This is Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Living the dream, girl. Just run over trees, doing what I can.
Turn down my TV. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. So, yes, this whole case is crazy. I had a question though. I wanted to ask you. I stumbled upon something in the court document. I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
I found something on that Kohlberger signed the notification of rights, and I wanted to ask your opinion. He had to check off all these boxes for these notifications of rights that they give him, and the one he did not check off, yes or no to. And I wanted to ask you if you thought it was just missed or a coincidence. And the question says, has anyone made you any promises or coerced you to act in this manner?
I think it didn't apply. So
Well, it's a yes or no question, right?
but what if it doesn't apply?
I don't know. It just seems weird to me that he's like so studious and whatnot that he would have checked yes or no to that question. But that was just my thing. I mean, this whole case, what if someone did make him a promise or, coerce them in this matter because he's like a fall guy or something, you know what I mean? Maybe he's not the real guy. Maybe he was just a driver or something like that. I mean, that was just my thought.
Oh, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of if he was to be taking a plea deal, that's kind of what that question to me,
I see.
if it doesn't pertain to what the document is, if it has nothing to do with it.
I got you.
That's the only thing that's the only thing that I can think of as if something nobody asked me to sign this piece of paper, it would be something like that. Does this really apply to this? So I'm not hitting yes or no. Do I think it's weird that all of them have some type of a marking except for that? Yeah. I also think it's weird that when you're going to go turn that in, that somebody looks it over usually and sees it and then would say something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, because it is a legal document. Usually they want you to, you know, cross all your I's and cross all your T's and dot all your I's. You know what I mean? So that's all. I'll let you go. I know you have lots of calls that are going to come in. I just wanted to ask you about that.
Oh yeah, no, you're cool. You're cool. No, I mean everybody's been talking about that. I do think he's thorough. I think it's interesting that of all the questions, that's the one. But I don't think that it's
Yeah, out of all the questions, that is the one that's like missing.
yeah.
You know. And I wanted to ask you one more thing. I've been watching your own case, like watching all the
Oh yeah.
documentaries and stuff that you're putting out.
Yeah.
And I love them. I think it's so great. I'm feel so horrible that you're going through all this.
Well, thank you.
I do. I mean, I know I've been watching other people go through the same thing with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
People. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it is really bad. But yours is one of the worst I've seen, and I just can't believe it. That's just that you have to go through this.
Yeah.
And one more thing.
Thank you, though, for
saying that. You go out there. I know you're going to go out there in June. Please do me a big thing. Do your due diligence and please look up JLR because he is not to be trusted. He's a scumbag.
Okay.
Please, Donna. Okay. Seriously. No, I'm serious.
Okay. I don't want to talk about that. Thank you. We don't want to talk about. Okay, honey, I gotta let you go.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, babe.
I'll watch you every night.
Thank you, love. Thank you. I do appreciate that. There you go. That's for you. Love to Lana. Thanks. I'll take the love. This is Truth and Transparency.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Living the dream, girl.
Sorry you ran over your tree.
I haven't rode a zero turn mower since 1999, whenever it was. And my one friend was like, I need you to do me this favor. I'm like, come on, man. And I was like, fine, what do I, wait, you want me to do what? You want me to cut? Are you? I was like, okay. He's like, please, you don't understand. And I was like, okay, fine.
It didn't work out.
Well, I was like, all right, I'll go get the truck. I'll go get the trailer. Like bring it over to my house, do a couple, passes just to get used to it again. And I was like, yeah, I can, mow my yard too, whatever. God bless America. Everything was great. And I was like, oh, let me just practice going like around, tight little nooks and crannies. And here I am. And I was like, oh my God, it wasn't in the middle. It was like I just ran into a tree. And I couldn't believe that this like blade, like the side of it was just like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take this right out. And I was like, I didn't think that I had enough power just to like, dude, I uprooted it. And it was just planted, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, okay, did anybody see that? All right. So then I
would like you to please give Bella a hug from me. So sorry about her doggy dog.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't live a couple of different times. I said that I wanted to, but I was trying to be a good friend, and I was sad.
You know your crew is just gonna wait for you to pop on anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's sad, but thank you for saying that. That means a lot. So
I just wanted to bring up.
Okay, yeah, what do we got?
So what we're talking about tonight.
Yes. What do you think?
Well, I know because I.
This is Annie, by the way. If you want to make yourself known.
Oh yeah. Sorry, hey guys, Annie Potts.
Annie Potts on the mic, 1s and 2s, dropping it.
1, 2, 1, 2.
There you go.
So, I don't know, I sent you emails about it. So for the last week.
Oh,
or
I got
so,
something for you. I got something for you. I'll send it to you.
Well, I just kind of, was going back over things, right? So I wanted to go kind of back to the beginning, right? And, I think it's something that.
I don't think that this just happened. Stuff built,
Yeah,
stuff was building up to this. Does that make sense? Look at kind of like Emma Bailey. She gets popped for a DUI, right?
Right.
And then a month later, all of a sudden, boom, she's getting arrested for allegedly being the person to supply or help supply the drugs that killed Mr. Caden Young.
Now, personally, with Caden, I really do feel like that was, when we talk about isolated and targeted attacks, I do feel like Caden was absolutely that.
You know what's hard for me to get around with Caden's is the whole.
He was already treated and released.
Yes.
So that is right. So that's exactly what makes me feel like he was.
Because wouldn't you serve? Well, I'm sorry, but wouldn't you sue the hospital? What do you mean? Did he just leave on his own? Was he not supposed to leave? Was he supposed to be staying overnight? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
so I want that timeline.
And I purposely went and read multiple articles that reported on it, because some, depending on the news agency that you're reading it from, some of them have more information than others, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so,
yeah. Some of them flat out suck. So I can't even read them. Yeah, I don't even read them.
They give you a paragraph, and you're like, what?
I'll pull my own.
I found a few articles, regarding Caden, and
oh, thank you, Tennessee Sapphire.
That I don't. The fact that he was treated and released at the hospital. Okay, so based on the reports that I read, by all accounts, he was treated. He was okay to leave, which is why he was released. Now, then he was brought back. So that's just one instance where I do believe, when people talk about isolated targeted attacks, I feel like Caden was one of those. Now, when it comes to the King Road incident and, just kind of pondering, going back to the beginning and thinking about things that were said. And, Mr. Gonzalez saying that he didn't have to go upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that really sticks with me. It really sticks with me, right? Because they were already into the Gonzalez family was already into those phones within 24 hours. So they know. They know what the text messages read. They know who was texting who. They know what was being talked about.
Okay, so I have something for you on that. Ready?
Well, yeah.
You didn't have to go upstairs because you already got what you came for. No. It has nothing to do with killing though. It has to do with you didn't have to go upstairs because whatever you came for and you got. Because you know how Brian's being charged with burglary with it?
Right.
So I started thinking that what if you you didn't have to go upstairs because you already got what you needed to get, which was on the first floor or the second floor. So you didn't need to go upstairs because it wasn't there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Don't think about the people. Think about you didn't have to go upstairs because whatever something's missing, something's gone. So that's versus people.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to.
Now, I would, yeah. No, I agree.
Because people look at it they didn't have to go upstairs. That means that the people on the first floor were killed, or the people on the second floor were killed first, and then the people on the third floor, they're saying do you think he's saying that because of that order? And I started thinking that,
Well, there's a part of me that thinks that they knew, isolated and targeted, and they knew exactly who was targeted. Now, there, what kind of made me go back and like rethink everything, and that was one of the comments that he made, where they were doing another interview in their home with Enton, and they're on the couch, and he talked about the she with the solid alibi, and he specifically says she. And there's just a lot of things that happened within, the following week, and including right up until today. And now I'm not saying that, Xana's mom is the reason that this happened or anything, but what I am saying is that with her being arrested,
You can't throw it out.
Well, right.
Yeah,
She was arrested 7
these
days
people's
after this
histories you
happened.
just can't throw out.
Yeah. Well, the fact that she was arrested 7 days after, then she gets to be let out to go to Xana's memorial, but then doesn't go to the memorial and flees to Washington and is caught in a casino. And, like the research that we've done on a lot of times what they use the casinos for.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me at all that that's where she was. And even now today with her pleading guilty. Now, kind of what made me think too, and kind of rethink where I was originally, I ain't going to lie to you. Originally, I thought it must be Kaylee and Maddie that were the target. And now I'm like, probably not. There's a big part of me that feels like this is tied more to Xana, Kara's activities. There is still a TikTok today that is on Jasmine's TikTok, and it's text messages between her and Xana from October 2021. And it's like screenshots of these text messages. And she talks about how when your sister lives 10 minutes from you, but doesn't know your address, and they're going back and forth in these text messages, and Xana is like flipping out on her sister because her friends apparently were over at the King Road house and they stole stuff. And then Xana saw them in videos with the stuff that they stole. And then there's another text message where she's saying to her sister, you know how much I hate coming out to Pullman, and I'm driving around WSU looking like an idiot. What's your address? So, and this is a TikTok that's still up, so anybody can go see it. And it kind of stuck out to me, and I was like, okay. So that kind of made me rethink how would anybody from WSU be connected to King Road, right? And I'm not saying Jasmine's involved, but what I am saying is that she was Pi Beta Phi at WSU. She also did all of the social media, like videography for the games and stuff, and she'd be right down in the field. It's been rumored that Brent did security for the game. So that made me think that, okay, well, maybe they've met and there's potential that they've crossed paths. Even the person who brought up, the whole Brent eye pick and stuff, if it is the house and everything, there's part of me that really believes there's a reason that Xana herself made it clear to her sister that she did not like going out to Pullman. Number one, she didn't like driving around WSU. Number two, I believe there's a reason for that, and I don't think it's something like innocuous or inconsistent. I think there's a very valid reason where she did not want to be anywhere near Pullman or WSU. Now, whether that's because of Brian or Brent or both, right? I'm not sure. I've always maintained, like, I'm not saying Brian's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. He has, I believe in the Constitution. He has the right to due process, and he's innocent until proven guilty.
In college, I remember us saying that we didn't want to drive certain places, and that reason would always be parking. If parking's a bitch, we would always say, God, no, I don't want to go, because there's nowhere to park. So, like, we would always pick a place that, like, God, there's nowhere to park over there. I hate driving over there. There's nowhere to park. There's nowhere to park.
Now, wasn't it said, too, that originally Ethan was supposed to be going home for the Thanksgiving break, and he decided not to? Last minute.
They still had a couple. I don't know what they're talking about, because they still had days of school. There was so many days of school still left before
Well, the
before.
whole like missing timeline too.
You know,
for
I
Ethan and Dan, you know,
yeah,
we have a window of time there that they were not accounted for.
so
And-
let's think about this. Let's think about this. Why would that be such a big deal? That they account for where
Well, why would
Xana and
it be a
Ethan
big
were.
deal that they need to account for every minute of where Kaylee and Maddie are, but not Xana and Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Right? Now we know based on Xana's dad's statement, she was home at midnight
is it because
watching the movie.
Well, is it because they were just saying that so that they could talk to like more of like the sorority and fraternity people? So they were acting like,
Well,
because
that's
if you
kind of where I'm
think
going
about
with
it,
this. I feel like the parents were told from the jump, listen, there's going to be certain things you can't say, and you're gonna have to just go with it, right? Like, and they're putting their trust in law enforcement to, okay, well, if you're telling me that I can't say this and you're giving me a good reason as to why, okay, fine. I won't say it. I'll be cooperative, you know. But if it's to me that they will account for every minute of Dylan and Bethany, they're going to account for every minute of Kaylee and Maddie. But when it comes to Ethan and Xana, we get a very minimalistic timeline with a big gap of time that they're unaccounted for. And, you know, law enforcement, even prior to the gag order being put in place, wouldn't address it.
Ready? But think about this now. Now you have Bethany, who would have talked to the police right away, and she's the person that's putting Ethan and Xana at the Sigma Chi house the whole night, right? And that would have come out right at the beginning. So what is all of this? Like that was already supposed to be handled. So was it just a way to continue on with the frats?
No, because even Bethany's story is unfortunately bullshit.
We know that, but think about it. Think about how crazy that is, though, that when you write up that PCA and you say that it was her, so then everything that you guys were doing for the whole investigation with all of that, like this is what this girl said to you in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean.
So then why the whole time are you messing around and acting like you didn't know where they were?
Right. Supposedly Bethany and even if you go by, okay, first statement, they were home by 1. Then that changed. All of a sudden, nope, not home at 1. Ethan, Xana, Dylan, and Bethany all supposedly arrive home around 1:45. Kaylee and Maddie get dropped off at like 1:58.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all within less than 15 minutes of each other, right? Getting home. Whatever it was when they did the phone dump is my guess as to why it went from 1 a.m. to where Dylan and Bethany are home to 1:45. Their phones are going to show they were not home at 1 as previously stated. Right? Now, originally we were told Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi party until 9. Then that changed too. And all of a sudden they can be identified at this party until 1:45.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with everything is that
why are the police even saying that type of stuff?
Well, not even that, but
ridiculous.
When you choose as law enforcement, now I understand, they have to hide, they can't say certain things to protect the integrity of the
They just shouldn't have been saying anything. They did not need to be writing up an update every day.
They're saying things that are purposefully misleading. They're omitting certain truths. So it's like lie by omission, right? Because you're not necessarily lying, but you're omitting the truth. So you're still lying.
Think about it, though. I could have actually say that we went to school there. And if you would have actually told the truth, I could have come forward then with my information being important, what I would deem important, you know what I mean? But when you're telling me certain things, I could be like, well, I wasn't at the Sigma Chi house. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I wasn't. But if based on what you're being told, like the public is, you would then determine if what you had was valid or important or whatever. You know what I mean? But if
Well, I
you're,
also feel like too, when it comes to like Brian and his defense, you know, if it comes out that a lot of these statements in this PCA, these witness statements and stuff are, you know, embellished, fabricated, whatever the case may be, you know, motion to strike are going to be just getting slapped down left and right. The phone ping, the witness statements.
Yeah, those are all, that's all.
Because if
You're
you
basically
have,
going on the record saying that, because everything's digital, right? So my client wasn't there at the time of the crime. No, we just believe he shut his phone off. Okay.
see, the
Well, who
problem
was
is
there at the
that
time of the crime then? Whose phones were all pinging?
well, even law enforcement, though, in their own sworn documents admit that one of the phone pings, he wasn't even in Moscow, which makes the rest of the phone pings highly unreliable, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you're admitting that one of these phone pings, he wasn't even there.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay, so thank you. I mean, it's almost like they just helped him.
Yeah,
Just
but in
that
order for
one
you to
second.
say that, you have to know where he was. Does that make sense? Like, how can you?
Or they know that their tower pings are unreliable. If you have one tower and it's, you know, within a 27-mile radius, you're going to ping off of it. The whole damn town is pinging off it. Who else was pinging off it?
Mm-hmm.
How many other phones were pinging off it at that time?
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Even the sheep. I have no doubt that Ann Taylor is going to ask these law enforcement officers to explain in great detail why.
Their body cams don't have the sheath.
Well, not even. But when ISP tested the sheath comes back clean. And they skipped over all of their available FBI resources and sent it to Texas instead when they had the entirety of the FBI at their disposal. Like, anybody who believes that the FBI doesn't have the testing capability to find touch DNA on an object probably shouldn't be, you know, reporting on true crime. It's kind of where I'm going with it. The FBI has more than enough of the capability to find trace DNA on an object. You know?
Oh yeah.
So when you have
You're not going to hear me.
You have 60
That's absolutely right.
You have 60 plus agents at your disposal and every available resource from the FBI at your disposal, and you skip them and send it to some lab in Texas that works cold cases. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. I'm looking forward to hearing, you know, how law enforcement themselves are going to explain the constant missteps in protocol when it comes to this case. Who cleared Murphy? Because Payne had to use Noon's body camera to know Murphy was even at the location at one point. So sometime between noon and 4 p.m., an officer who doesn't have the authority to clear the scene or anything in it, cleared people at the scene, cleared the dog. The dog was gone before Payne even shows up because Payne had to identify Murphy through the body cam, which means Murphy wasn't even there when Payne arrived. So we have so many missteps in protocol.
Yeah, Murphy was gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So many missteps in protocol. Who are all the people that were at the scene and why were they let go? Who cleared them? Who let them leave the scene?
I mean, these body cams are going to be very, very interesting. But you know, what makes it, the only way they get interesting is that you have to like watch them all, and you have to have your team watching them, and you have to go through it like with the fine, like. Because if there's not a body cam that has that sheath on there prior to like a certain point, that's like I would go ham on that.
Right. Yeah, motion to strike, Your Honor. I mean, it's that simple. There's going to be motion to strike, so like those things are going to be flying across the freaking courtroom. You know, we got a lot of issues here as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not saying.
Yeah, I'm coming, Jax.
what I'm saying is if he is involved, all these missteps. Mom!
Yeah, I gotta go.